Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Boston University Professional Fundraising webinar. My name is Sarah, and I will serve as your moderator for today's session. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. Please remember to ask questions by typing in the questions box located on the right-hand side of your screen. We will try to address all questions towards the end of the presentation. Additionally, a link to the recorded version of this webinar will be sent for your reference to share with colleagues. During today's presentation, we will cover the Professional Fundraising Program, including the curriculum areas, instructors, and how to register. We will then wrap up with our interactive Q&A. It is my pleasure to introduce John Shaffer, Program Director of the Professional Fundraising Program. John was a student himself at Boston University and brings a unique perspective to the program. After completing the program in 2007, John has served as lead instructor for 7 years. He is a Senior Development Officer at Harvard Business School. John, thank you so much for joining us. I'll pass the dialogue over to you to review our program.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you for that kind and generous introduction. I wanted to start by thanking all of you for joining today, whether you're here live or listening to the recording. The fact that you're here is a great demonstration of your interest in having an impact out on society through nonprofits or other social sector organizations. And for that, I'm personally grateful and appreciate your commitment to the work of fundraising. So I'm going, as Sarah mentioned, going to run through the curriculum a bit. This is a high level. We'll touch on most of these things along the way, but it is 12 weeks. It's a principles-based fundraising program, so we go through all the major parts of the fundraising organization, and we talk from sort of soup to nuts on what the principles are that you can apply to almost any organization. So we will talk specifically about small and large fundraising organizations, but all of the principles you're learning can be applied no matter sort of what type of organization you're working with. I think we'll start, if you can go to the next slide, we'll start with Ruth Saunders. She was a participant in the course in the last session. She works here in Boston at the Roxbury Innovation Center, and I've just asked her to come and share a little bit about sort of firsthand what she got out of the program as a student. Ruth, could you share a couple words?
Thank you, John. I would say that this program was terrific, and it was instrumental in helping me get the job that I'm just starting. So I'm very grateful for that. The assignments are quite specific, and although they were things I'd done before, with each of them I learned some new tricks and some new ways of doing things that I hadn't thought of. And then the discussions with other class participants were incredibly rich and thought-provoking, and really transformed the experience. I'm very grateful for doing it.
Well, thank you, Ruth. And you were cutting in and out a little bit. So I will just summarize for folks a bit. So Ruth and I have talked about some of the strengths of the courses being around sort of the practical skills and assignments that allowed to develop those through the course. She's found that helpful, and we've had ongoing conversations, particularly about how the work around identifying foundations and potential grants for her organization to be applying for, so that they can increase their fundraising resources and increase their impact on their work at the Roxbury Society for Innovation.
Am I clearer now?
You are clearer now. So if you wanted to add another word to what I just said, that would be great.
I'll just add that I credit this course with helping me get the job that I'm just starting, and the linkages that I found with other course participants were hugely valuable. I only wish I'd done this sooner.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Ruth, and thank you for calling in today and sharing, and particularly appreciative as I know you're out on vacation, so thank you.
Thank you, John. Bye-bye, and good luck.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
In looking at sort of who comes and takes this course, it really is a broad audience. So we've seen folks who are new to the fundraising development world looking to expand their platform of knowledge so that they can be successful within their current organization. We've also had folks within an organization being promoted into management roles and realizing that what they've learned as individual contributors now needs a broader context to manage the development shop. And then the other two interesting groups are folks like Ruth, who are looking to get into fundraising, sort of building a baseline of knowledge to be able to successfully interview for jobs in the development field, as well as a portfolio of work through the assignments that you can reference and use in different ways. And finally, and what is a really inspirational group is the volunteers and board members at nonprofit organizations who maybe don't have a development shop or organization, or maybe have one that is particularly small in size, and they're looking to be the most effective as they can be as a volunteer. And so gaining this overall fundraising experience has been beneficial to them and to their organization. Next slide, please. So now we're going to go through a bit of an overview of the course. As I said, we really look at all parts of the development shop and go into each of them for about a week's worth of content. We will both, provide you with the knowledge of how these different pieces work together, but also go deep into each topic area. We focus a lot on learning from doing, so there's assignments each week that allow you to put into practice something that you've learned, one of the principles you learned within the week. You also will learn from the teaching faculty, teaching instructors who we'll talk about, who are all practitioners, so have experience doing this in the real world. And then the last piece is you really learn from your peers. There's a great group, again, sort of crossing all four of those different sections and others, who come together and are really robust on our discussion boards to get to know each other, build a network, have mentors, and for some it also is a way of building out career opportunities and understanding what the different options to get into development are. Looking at this slide, these are sort of the first four topic areas that we'll cover. We start with a bit of a history around philanthropy. For some, it's really helpful to understand why people give and what the impact of philanthropy is on a society and organizations. We'll then go through basically the development shop. So we'll start with prospect research, where we talk about how to identify individuals, corporations, and foundations who could be supportive of your organization, how to qualify them and quantify them so that you can be following up and having meaningful connections to work towards gifts. I find, just as an asterisk here, many have not really thought about this as a profession, so prospect research, but it's a great area within the development shop to sort of get your feet wet and get interested in the work without having to be sort of out on the front line traveling and all of that. From prospect research, we'll go into annual giving. This is the lifeblood of any organization. Having a strong annual giving program where you're raising unrestricted funds for your organization is critically important, and understanding how to do that effectively can be a great skill to have sustainability for your nonprofit organization. We'll then take a look at technology-enabled fundraising. This is sort of one of those pieces that pervades throughout all that we do, but it's worth pausing on for a week to really think through some of the different opportunities now afforded us through this constantly connected world and an ability to leverage all those different channels for the biggest impact for your organization. If you go to the next slide, we'll go from there into sort of key, more external pieces of the fundraising shop. We'll talk about major gifts. These are, proportionate to your organization. So for some organizations, a major gift is $25,000. For some organizations, it's $2,500. For some organizations, it's $2.5 million. So all that we learn and the way that you develop skills around being a major gift officer, having a major gift program, are applicable across each of those levels depending on your organization. From there, we'll talk about plan giving. We'll go into some of the specifics about how you structure gifts to be most tax advantageous to the donor and biggest impact on the organization. This gets into some of the nitty gritty of some of the ways that we calculate these gifts and have these discussions. And we have a great instructor who has experience directly with this and is able to share that firsthand. From there, we'll have to go and talk about corporations and foundations, a little bit to what Ruth referenced earlier. They will talk about how to identify the right corporations and foundations, how you would approach them. They're different. Obviously, a corporation is different than a foundation, but also within each of those areas, there's different ways to build relationships and think about cultivating them as prospects. It's a different muscle. It's usually a different part of the development shop than major gifts or annual gifts. And in some shops, it's all one person. So figuring out some ways to understand and segment your groups can be helpful. One of the most important things we can do here is just work on figuring out how to identify the right organizations to approach. Following that, we'll sort of work on bringing some of these principles together under the banner of capital campaigns. So as many of you know, capital campaigns are an opportunity to increase fundraising for key priorities of your organization over a defined period of time. There's a lot of great reasons why an organization would have a capital campaign. We may feel like organizations are constantly having capital campaigns. We'll build into some of the materials on how to do it, why you would do it, and then sort of key you up to be able to then speak and be well-versed in the concepts around capital campaigns, which is a specific development concept. From there to the next slide, we'll go and we'll talk about support services. This is much of the operations of a fundraising organization. Many of the things around how, once the gift is secured, how it is actually made, how it's processed, how it's followed up on, both thanked in the short term and then the ongoing stewardship, which is sort of a robust thank you plan for your donors. All critical pieces. Well, in here we'll talk about events as well, and some of the less seen parts of the fundraising shop, but no less important. From there, we'll spend some time around volunteer leadership. Many in the class will be volunteers themselves, either as a primary role in their life or as a part of a professional career or otherwise, talking about how to best leverage your volunteer leadership, where they can add the most value, and different types of volunteers that a fundraising organization would deploy. Finally, we'll spend some time talking about the management and accountability, some of the ethics and governance around a fundraising shop, and how you would think about taking over an organization. So there's actually a great assignment with this module that talks about what you would do in your first 6 weeks of taking on a management role within your nonprofit. So again, a way to really have you think about and put pen to paper, keyboard to Word doc on how you would approach in a practical way some of this work. Next slide, please. So we have a great teaching team that's been put together for this course. Right now we have 5 instructors. Each of them will have 1 to 2 modules. So each week you'll go through, you'll have sort of an expert instructor who will be there to facilitate the conversations, answer questions, grade, and then occasionally throughout the semester or the 12 weeks, you'll have the opportunity for a live class with one of the instructors where you'll be able to either log in live or listen to the recording later to really go deeper into a piece of the course. So for example, in this current session, Frank White, who teaches technology-enabled fundraising, took some time and did a deeper dive into how AI, artificial intelligence, is impacting fundraising. This is a fascinating, 45-minute session, but also allowed for some interaction live between folks in the class and their instructor, as well as with each other. As you can see by these bios, it's a wide range of higher education, social service, religious organization, and health. We also have facilitators in the course who help with the graders, and they all have experience in fundraising as well, so more resources for you. We'll, throughout the course, provide you with the roadmap of who's on point for each session, and we're sort of have a team-based approach to teaching the course. Next slide sort of runs into a bit of what I've been talking. So it's instructor-led by the 5 of us. It's all asynchronous. So other than sort of the live sessions, which are encouraged but optional, you're able to log in and do the work at any time that you would like. It's gated in that each week there are assignments within that week that are due at the end of the week, and you're not able to sort of get ahead and sort of do the whole 12 weeks in the first week. But other than that, there's a lot of flexibility. It's a great course for working professionals or parents or folks who are just busy otherwise, because there's the flexibility in how you do your work. There's the opportunity to engage directly with the instructors via messaging and the discussion boards, as well as, and I can't really emphasize this enough, your peers and the network you're developing. I'm always, each time we run this, I'm always amazed at the connections that are made in the way that the students support each other, both within the course and then beyond. It's fantastic. The whole platform is taught using Blackboard as a platform which some of you may have experience with. I think at this point, I'll turn it over to Carrie to talk about the upcoming program schedule, and then we'll have some time for questions.
Thank you very much, John. Hello, everyone. We offer this program 3 times every year. We offer it every January, every May, and every September. So we encourage students to always find your schedule is a busy schedule, find a time when you can make a time commitment and take advantage of the course. So the next session that we have starts this May the 8th. So it's right around the corner. Our enrollment deadline for the course is April the 13th. The tuition for the course is $2,495. If you do go to our website, which we have listed here, you can read some additional information about the course and the instructors. After the May session, we do have a fall session, which is right around the corner. It starts right after Labor Day weekend on September the 4th. The enrollment deadline for the fall session is this August the 10th, and the tuition, again, is $2,495. We do have a discount, a 10% tuition reduction on the tuition for members of AFP, the Association of Fundraising Professionals, as well as we have a giving back promotional code, the 10% discount for anyone who has participated or works for any of the following organizations: the Peace Corps, AmeriCorps, Teach for America, and City Year. We do have the promotional codes listed here as well as on our website, and the 10% tuition reduction would bring the tuition down to $2,245. If you do have any questions, there is an enrollment team that is available to answer questions big or small about the course. You can contact them via email, you can contact them via phone, or on our website we do offer live chat. Something that I would like to mention, because we just touched on the tuition, is there are tuition options for the course, meaning tuition can certainly be paid for in full, or we do offer payment plans. that range all the way up to a 6-month payment plan so that students can stretch out those payments over several months. If you do have any questions about payment plans, please feel free to email, call us, or live chat with us, and we'd be happy to explain those in further detail.
Wonderful. Thank you, Carrie, and thank you, John, for the valuable information pertaining to the professional fundraising program offered here at BU. At this time, we will now start our live question and answer session. Just as a reminder, please type your questions in the questions box located on the right-hand side of your screen. All right, we do have a few questions coming in here, so we'll get started, and feel free to log your questions as we go. Our first question is, I have never taken an online class before. What is the relationship like with other students? John, I'll pass that one to you, please.
Yeah, great question. So many of the students, we spend some time at the beginning of the course introducing ourselves and sharing a little bit of our background and interests. So from that, many will then connect and over the discussion boards or by internal message on things that they might share in common. And then throughout the 12 weeks, through the discussion boards primarily, students are building on and engaging in the conversation around the fundraising discussion topics. And that's been a great way to build relationship and to find, again, sort of common interests and areas for connection.
Great, thank you, John. Our next question is, how many students are there usually per session? John, I think I'll pass that to you again.
Sure. So we tend to break down into groups of about 25 to 30.
Great, thank you. The next question sort of segments off that. What is the typical time commitment on a weekly basis for this course?
So that's a great question. I would say it's typically about maybe 2 to 5 hours. I don't know if others would add a sense of that.
Sure.
Okay.
Usually this is Carrie. So usually what we quote to students is, on average, it's about 7 to 10 hours per week, and that would cover your reading assignments, that would cover discussions with other students as well as the instructors and homework. So about 7 to 10 hours per week. And again, I like to stress it's asynchronous. So there isn't any set time of day or day of week that we require students to log on. You can do your time, your 7 to 10 hours per week at a time that suits you, morning, noon, or night.
Yeah, and so my 2 to 5 hours is probably the written assignment and discussion board topic, and then the rest is learning from the program. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Our next question comes in, is it possible to split between 2 sessions, example, enrolling in May and for September to complete the coursework? Carrie, I'll pass that to you, please.
At the time, that is not feasible. So you would want to pick a session, a 12-week session, where you can participate in the full program from start to finish.
Great, thank you. The next question asks about, do you receive any type of certificate at the end of this program? John, I'll pass that to you, please.
You do. So you'll receive a certificate of completion for this program. We do have you need to have received I believe it's a C or better in each module and an overall average of a B or better to be eligible for the certificate. But you'll get that in the past. And we have a ceremony actually as well here in Boston at Boston University that you can participate in too.
Wonderful, thank you. So the next question is, can you get continuing education credits for professional organizations? Specifically, they've called out the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics TEDx, I believe it says. So I basically just asking, can you get continuing education credits for your professional organizations through that organization? And I think
so we do have we have pre-vetted the program with the AFP, the Association for Fundraising Professionals. So they are eligible for, I think it's 84 continuing education credits. I think for, depending on your specific organization that you're a part of, you would just take the sort of course syllabus and petition for the credit hours.
All right, great. The next question is, what are we graded on in this course specifically? John, do you want to just give a high-level overview of that, please?
Sure. So your grade so each week you receive, under each module topic, you receive a grade. Your grade is based on your individual written assignment, as well as your participation in the discussion forum. Participation is graded both on sort of quantity. We want to see that you're responding to each of the prompts, but also quality. And then there may be sort of a quiz or reflection item within each module that you would respond to and sort of receive points for having completed it.
All right, great. And our next question is, where can we view one of the online classes as a preview? Is that option available? I think either John or Carrie, either one of you want to take that.
I can take that one. At the current time, we are working on a course demonstration so that you could maybe see some screens prior to the course starting, but at the current time, that is yet to be available.
And let me just take a moment to clarify. So we do punctuate some of the topic areas with a live classroom session, but the majority of the program is written course content. So you're not logging in at a specific time to attend the class. That would be videoed.
Okay, great. This one here, just a geographic question. This person noticed that most of the instructors are from New England based on their schooling as well. Would you say our students that take this program are normally from New England or all over the area?
I'm happy to take that. Oh, sorry.
You go ahead, John.
Wide ranging. So international locations to Kentucky, to Boston, to San Francisco, really anywhere that obviously the internet is, but it's great because it adds to a robust involvement, and we actually find that it's not most highly concentrated here in the Boston, New England area.
And I'll just add on, I agree completely with John. We have students from coast to coast, as well as I can't promise, but we usually have about 2 to 3 international students in each session. So it's wonderful due to the way the course is set up that you don't have to be in a certain time zone to be able to participate and enjoy the course.
All right, thank you both. Our next question is, what job opportunities will be immediately available to me once completing the program? John, I'll pass that to you, please.
Sure. So really all depends on the type of organization and job that you're pursuing. So this program will provide you with the depth of knowledge to be able to go in and interview for any one of the jobs that might be associated with one of these modules. For example, a prospect researcher, someone who researches and qualifies individuals as prospects for an organization. You'll have the framework and the tools to be able to do that. Obviously, there's not sort of specific work experience you would also be gaining at the same time. So applying for those jobs, there's a lot of different factors that someone would, as a hiring manager, take into account.
Wonderful, thank you. Next we have, can you please explain the CFRE certification process and if BU meets the education requirement for this? John, please.
So the CFRE is a exam that you sit for. That to be eligible to sit for the exam, you have to have education hours, which this program does cover, as well as work experience. And with those two things, you then sit for a exam, which this course will actually cover the majority of the content that is on that exam. The CFRE also has their own materials through their website that sort of covers those topics, but when the course was developed, much of that was taken into consideration.
Great, thank you. Next we have, is the program accredited?
I can
John,
take
I'll
that.
pass that to you, please.
John, if you don't mind, I'll take that. It is a
Sure.
non-credit, non-degree certificate program from Boston University. So you will receive, as long as you successfully completed, a certificate of completion from Boston University, and you would also earn those 84 CE credits.
Great, thank you, Carrie. Our next question is, have you received any feedback from students who completed this program that did help them land jobs in fundraising and in the nonprofit world? John, I think I'll pass that to you, or Carrie, if you'd like to chime in.
I'm happy to start. So yes, for sure, and I've sat with a number of students either during the course, by phone or in person, or after the course, a little bit more likely after the course, who've been looking to get into fundraising and have had success, and it's been really great to hear.
That's great, thank you, John. All right, if there's any other questions, please enter them at this time. It looks like we've just gone to the last of the few here. Just wait here to receive any. I do have a question, I think, that I will pose to the group here that I don't believe we've mentioned yet, just in the meantime. John, what would you say are some of the networking opportunities that one can get from this course after completing the course?
So I would describe that sort of two ways. One is that we occasionally get opportunities out there sent our way, and we'll post them either within the course or on LinkedIn, and that is a way to be into the flow of some of the jobs that might be out there, as well as through your 25 to 30 classmates within your section. You will build relationships, and many will then take them offline and follow up with coffee or other conversations that will lead to building out a broader network in the development space. Of course, the instructors are also welcome to be part of your network as well.
Oh, that's wonderful, thank you. We did have a few more questions come in the meantime there. This person is asking, is each week one of the 12 topics that you described during the beginning portion of the presentation, John?
Yes.
Great, thank you. All right, and the next question is, are the courses simultaneous or serial during the 12-week instruction period?
Yeah, so they're serial, so each week follows the next. You don't necessarily, many of them, don't specifically build off of each other, but we do a week at a time.
Great, thank you. And this question, I believe, can be for Carrie. Do you offer payment plans for this program?
We do. So I would suggest giving us a call to speak to an enrollment advisor regarding if you're looking at the May session or the fall session. I can speak directly, though, right now. If you were looking at this May, the longest payment plan would be if you enrolled in the month of March. It would be a 2-month payment plan where you would pay half the tuition in March and the other remaining half in April, and then the course starts in May. If you were looking for a longer payment plan, I would need to suggest the fall session. If you were to enroll currently this month in March for the fall session, there would be a 6-month payment plan. So we would literally take the tuition and divide by 6. That would be your monthly payments. And then in April, it would be a 5-month payment plan for the fall session. In May, 4 months. June 3 months, July 2 months, and then in August it would be a payment in full. Again, I know that's really quick with payment plan descriptions, so please feel free to call or email us and we can describe those in much further detail for you.
Thank you, Carrie. All right, it looks like we've come to the end of our question and answer session at this time. So with that being said, thank you all again for taking the time out of your day to join us during this presentation. Some great questions asked. We hope you have taken away some valuable course information here to help you in deciding your future fundraising education. As Carrie mentioned, please reach out to us with any questions, and we will be happy to answer that for you. All right, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.